Hey guys, and thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed the episode last night. If you were in the room, go ahead and say hello. I see that Chase is here and Nick. And if you are here and you would like to chat back and forth during this live chat, then just go ahead and let me know that you are here. I'm very curious about last night's episode. I really enjoyed it, and there were some moments that really stick out to me as being very memorable. So I would like to hear what you thought was great in this episode. So let me know. Nick and Chase, were you able to see the episode last night? Personally, one of the things I want to talk to you guys about was an actual funny moment when Cooper was drinking Frank, someone else's coffee. And I don't know, I just feel like this return is so funny and funnier than the first two seasons. And I just laughed so much when he was just, like so happy to have a coffee, and he had to have a coffee and he drank it like super fast. And then he had to go to the bathroom, and he kind of doesn't know about going to the bathroom yet. He's still having troubles with that. I just thought it was really, really funny. And Datsun is here. Thank you so much for being here. Mr. Shivers or Shivers is here. Which one is it? Shivers or Shivers? Datsun says the creepy cigarette guy was credited as Richard Horn. That's interesting. If you didn't know, there was a dedication at the end of the credits to this episode. I think the guy's name was Marvin something. I can't remember. But if you've seen the movie, this would be like for a super fan. If you've seen the movie, there was a guy named Toad who worked in the Double R Diner, and he wasn't in the series, but he actually passed away after filming his part in The Return, and he was in the diner last night, and he was mentioned by why can't I think of her name on the show, but Peggy Lipton's character actually mentioned his name. So when I saw his name, the actor's name in the credits, I just Googled to see like who that was, because they said it was in memory of him. And it's like an interesting backstory. If you're a really, really big fan of the show, you might want to Google like how he came to be in the third season and just the backstory on all of that. I won't get into it for those of you who may not even know what I'm talking about, but I just want to throw that out there. It was very interesting. Hi, Philippe. Thank you so much for being here. And Tiffany, thank you for being here. Right. The elevator scene. I was just talking about that right when we started about the coffee. To me, it was so funny. I was just laughing so hard at that scene. I'm loving Kyle in this role of Dougie Jones. I know like he's not going to be around forever. That's got to resolve itself eventually, but it's just very funny for me. I love how he's just like, it's like somebody who woke up from a coma or something, but much worse. I don't know, because he just doesn't even know how to act like a person. And just the fact that he was obsessed with that coffee. And I almost felt like he was going to steal someone else's coffee, like from their hand. And I was hoping that he was, because he stopped and he stared at those people with the coffee mugs for a while. And I was like, oh my God, please steal their coffee. And then in the meeting, like I felt like he was going to steal someone else's like Starbucks looking coffee. I was really hoping. Hi, Misty Ann. Thank you for being here. Misty Ann says, you feel like the more coffee he drinks, the more he becomes a real Cooper. I was hoping, right? Yeah, definitely. But that was so funny. Some other things I wanted to talk about. First of all, we finally got the confirmation that Amanda Seyfried is Shelley's daughter, which I think a lot of us had assumed. They kind of have us, they kind of look similar. But the thing that really caught me off guard with this information or this reveal was, again, looking at the credits, she was credited as, her name is Becky, and her last name, I don't remember what it is now, but in the credits, her last name is not Briggs. As we know, that is Bobby's last name. So there's been people wondering, and I've been wondering, is, this daughter that we knew that Shelley had, is she the daughter of Shelley and Bobby? So unless she is married in the show, it appears to me that she is not Bobby's daughter. And I don't know how old she is playing in the show. I feel like Amanda might be late 20s, but she may be playing like a younger age. So, maybe she is married to the guy that she met up with in the car. Becky Burnett, thank you. So maybe she's married to that guy. I kind of felt like that was her boyfriend. He seemed like a loser boyfriend, but she could be married to him, and that's why her name is Burnett, but it's not Briggs. So that was interesting to me, because I really thought she would be Bobby and Shelley's daughter. Yeah, right, Tiffany. I feel the same way about coffee. I mean, like, honestly, it made me want to get some coffee when I was watching that scene because it's like there is really nothing like amazing coffee, you know? I mean, I don't recommend that you drink it that quickly, though. You get a huge buzz from that. Dadson says you read a theory that Cooper isn't himself because he doesn't have his shoes. Shoes were important in the original series with the shoe salesman. So that's interesting. And as you guys know, I try not to read much about what's, well, especially with this show, I kind of just want to be surprised, but I don't do a lot of investigating usually as to what kind of is what people are talking about, like what could be going on, or, you know, besides talking to you guys. But that's interesting. Patricia, thank you so much for being here from Brazil. I love you too. I really appreciate you being here. So Misty Ann says she has Bobby's eyes. Now they made a really huge, obviously they focused, you know, on her eyes, like massively. I didn't know she was like on drugs at that. I don't know what that scene was. It was like she was like high or something. I wasn't sure. But Miss Ann says maybe Shelly and Bobby never married or they divorced and the daughter took her mom's name. So that's interesting. Does anyone know what Shelly's last name is? Because in the credits, I also noticed that Shelly, I think Shelly, or that Madgen was just credited as Shelly. I don't feel like there was a last name there, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. If you guys know what it is, let me know. Maybe it's Burnett. I'm not sure. But I just found all of that interesting. What is Peggy Lipton's character's name? Why can't I think of it? Hi, Ralph. Thank you so much for being here. I loved the diner scene. I really loved that. I was waiting on that, and I was glad to see that again. But I think it's interesting because in each episode, we don't get all of the old characters. You know, I feel like we get a lot less than we used to in the first two seasons. So there's like, sometimes we've just seen like one character from the old show. Like sometimes they've only been in one episode so far out of the 5, which I think is interesting. So it's like we still haven't seen Audrey, and I have no idea what's going on with her. And we didn't see Bobby. And I follow Dana Ashbrook. Is it Brooke or Brock? I follow him on Instagram, and he was like saying, do you think that we will see me in this episode? And I was like, okay. He said that before the episode started, and I was thinking, okay, that probably means he'll be in it. And like, I didn't see him in the episode at all. Norma, thank you so much. So Ralph, I don't know if you were here when we were talking, but we were trying to figure out earlier if Shelly and Bobby are the parents of Becky or what, because she is credited as having the last name Burnett. So I'm confused about that. Dadson says we never learned Shelly's maiden name. She was married to Leo. Right, Johnson. Oh, right. And that was his last name. But obviously that didn't work out. So she probably dumped that last name. So that's interesting. Misty Ann says the scene in the car was very much reminiscent of Laura. She was high. She snorted whatever her boyfriend gave her. Her boyfriend seems like such a loser. But I almost kind of felt like the boyfriend was a little bit like Bobby, because Bobby, you know, or no, maybe he was kind of like Leo, because Leo is a true loser. But we don't know yet if her boyfriend, husband, or whatever is a mean person, you know. Ralph, I think the decapitated body is Dougie, right? Because of whatever the ring said, the inscription. It said something like pointed to him and feeling like it had his wife's name or something. I'm pretty sure that's Dougie. You could tell it was like a bigger person than Cooper anyway. So I'm not sure what's up with that, because it seems like he probably died before Cooper came back as him, because he has all those people like looking for him, you know, trying to kill him. Tiffany doesn't like her boyfriend at all, but you feel like he's going to play a big role. I don't recognize that actor. I don't know if that's someone you guys recognize, but I don't like him either. But I just think it's really reminiscent of some of the losers, the loser boyfriends in the original Twin Peaks. Oh, Dadson thinks the body is Major Briggs. Interesting. That's interesting. Well, he does pretty much have the body type for that. But what about the wedding ring? I felt like that wedding ring tied to Dougie somehow, and I just really can't remember what it said. But whenever they read it, I was like, oh, that's got to be Dougie. But where was the body found again? Where were they when that body was found? So yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I just feel like there's so many different elements to this season, and maybe that's kind of what it was like in the first 2 seasons, and I just don't remember. But there's just so many different little storylines, and another reason for that is probably because we have so many different areas of the U.S. this is taking place, which I personally like. Ralph says they also hinted that it might be Major Briggs due to Briggs' floating head in space. Okay, so we also had the people like in Washington, D.C. talking about how they got a clue, but I think they got the clue about They got tipped off about something going on in South Dakota, though, right? Which would be the Bob Cooper. So that's going on as well. But didn't that tie somehow to Major Briggs? I can't remember. Miss Ann says way more Leo than Bobby. You're right, because I think Bobby is actually very sweet at heart. But you think Laura drew Bobby into the drug scene, whereas you think Shelley's daughter's boyfriend seems to instigate, and he seems like a loser. He does, to me, seem like a massive loser. So, which is, hopefully he's not going to be the abusive person that Leo was. Who is my favorite character? Shelley Johnson probably is my favorite, but I really love Cooper. That's actually a hard question. And I loved Audrey in the first 2 seasons, so I'm waiting for her to come back. we didn't even see her dad or anything in this episode. It's going to be interesting because Jade, I didn't even know you can do this, but she just put that key that Cooper had to Twin Peaks in the mail. So they're going to get that at Twin Peaks and probably realize that he's back or something. Like, I don't know where they're going with that, but I thought that was really interesting. Datsun says it's funny that Bobby's friend Mike from the original series is now a professional businessman rejecting losers like he was at one point. Yeah, that is really, really funny. Ralph says Becky's boyfriend is the loser Mike kicked out. Oh, okay. Okay. The loser that Mike kicked out of his office. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, but did you guys enjoy the episodes? Because I did, and I've just really enjoyed, if not, I mean, I really, really enjoyed the humor in these episodes. Like, I love the coffee scene in this one. I love the casino scene. I guess that was in part 4 or episode 4. I thought that was really funny. Tiffany says you've seen the boyfriend in something, but you can't put your finger on it, but he didn't look so gross, right? He definitely looked dirty. Dadson says the part with Jacoby was absolutely hilarious. So yeah, so apparently he is making those shovels or painting those shovels to sell them. And for those of you here about different shows, I'm sorry, I've got to focus on this show just because this is my time for Twin Peaks. So I'm sorry, I don't want to ignore anyone, but for Pretty Little Liars, we'll definitely have a video tomorrow and a chat on Wednesday. So I just can't answer anything unless we're talking about Twin Peaks today. But thank you for being here. You can definitely stick around, but I'm just going to focus on this show today, just a heads up. But yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's in the golden shovels. And oh, we saw Nadine. I was so happy to see her, you know, just a little snippet, but it was still good to see her. And I feel like Jacoby is like one of those conspiracy theorist type of people, and it looks like he has some kind of internet show, kind of like I'm doing, I guess. Maybe I should start selling the golden shovels to you guys. But I wasn't really sure what he was doing with those because they had a very long scene of him painting those a couple episodes ago, and I was like, what is he doing? But now we know, which is really funny. Tiffany says, you're so excited for the episodes in the chat because your husband isn't into Twin Peaks at all. Yeah, I mean, this is a show I feel like you love or hate. It's funny because some people who watch my channel have told me they tried to watch it and they just hated it. And for me, I had to kind of try to get into it. Like, I'm so glad I did because it is very strange. Like, even when I was okay. Miss Ann says you love the infomercial. Jacoby needs a good therapist, right? Which was what he used to be. So obviously, I don't know what's up with him now. I think he's a little off there. Oh, so apparently, Ralph says Jacoby's doctor's license was revoked in the secret history of Twin Peaks, which I think. What exactly is that? Is that a book or the deleted scenes? So Datsun says we've seen Nadine and Norma, but we haven't seen Big Ed yet. You wonder who he ended up with. And I'm dying to know this. We know he's going to be in the show. He was in one of the promos. So, you know, I think it's, like I said before, I think it's very cool how they space out having the characters in the show. Like, they don't just give us all of the people we like and all the people from the old seasons in every single episode. Like, you have to kind of wait. There's still some people we haven't seen, etc. Datsun says Twin Peaks isn't for a lot of people. You try getting your parents to watch it and they were really unimpressed. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I kind of felt at first that it wasn't going to be for me, but for me, I fell in love with the characters. And I don't know. It's a show that's really different. I think it's very different really from anything else I've ever watched, honestly. And maybe a lot of shows have taken inspiration for it and tried to be like it from it and tried to be like it, but I don't feel like anything is like that. I know maybe like Pretty Little Liars or Riverdale has taken some inspiration from it, but I don't feel like either one. I would not compare either one to this show. So I thought it was interesting that Harry Truman's brother, who was the acting sheriff, was on the phone with him this time because he's been sick, and they didn't, obviously you couldn't hear him and you didn't see him. And I keep wondering though if he's ever going to make an appearance in this series again, because they keep mentioning him and I'm like, he's got to come back at some point. Maybe even the finale of the whole thing. I don't know. But I feel like I would just love to see him again. And I totally understand the actor retired and all that good stuff a long time ago. But I just think the fact that they kind of keep mentioning him, and maybe it's just because, I don't know. I don't think they have to keep mentioning him. Like, we kind of know he's not going to be there. Either that or they're going to kill him off, because they keep talking about how he's sick. Like, they'll kill him off, but we'll never see him, like they'll say, oh my God, he died or something. But I don't know. I feel like they could have handled it a different way if they never ever were going to show us him again, because they could have just said that he died or something and like his brother took over, or they could say he's sick and he's never going to work again. I don't know. But I just keep thinking like maybe he'll make an appearance. Like, that would just be so great. But Datsun, you told me on Twitter you had some theories that you want to talk about. So let me know what you got from this episode or from the other episodes. And you just said, Datsun, that you read that The Return was written, filmed, and edited like an 18-hour-long movie, not an 18-part series. So when an episode doesn't make sense, it's because it's like watching 1/18 of a movie, which that's very, very interesting news that I did not know. And to me, I haven't felt like things didn't make sense, but that kind of explains what I was just talking about, where it's like you get like little pieces and you don't see, like we didn't see Bobby this time. We haven't seen James in a while. We still haven't seen Audrey, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not complaining about that, but that's interesting. Tiffany says you feel like a loser because you're just now finding out that Gordon is David Lynch. Well, I watched the entire first 2 seasons this spring, like back to back. And for the longest time, I did not know who Gordon was, so don't feel so bad. I mean, I do know now. I always forget his name. He's a very funny character, I think. But I did like a lot of research after watching the first 2 seasons. Like, I just wanted to see everyone in the cast and what they look like now. So I kept seeing a lot of photos of David Lynch. So it kind of got in my head that he was Gordon on the show, even though I forget his name. Like, I kind of figured out this is who he's playing. When I see his face, that's David Lynch, basically. But I think it's cool that he is on the show, and that he's still in the show. Also, how cool was it when Cooper Bob, pulled that, whatever he did, like supernatural trick in the prison. So when he made that phone call, like they weren't able to trace who he was calling or couldn't hear what he was saying. And who do you think he was calling? And what was the catchphrase that he said? Something about, I can't even, the cow jumped over the moon or something. Who do you think he was calling? Because I thought that was crazy and cool and interesting. I really like that. We didn't really get anything recently about the black box and, that setting in New York. I know they'll come back to that, but I think that's interesting as well. But Datsun says, you think that evil Cooper and Dougie might need to be unified to bring Cooper back. Dougie is Cooper's real body, and you think that part of Cooper is sealed away in Bob's mind. Yeah, I mean, definitely, because it's like they all can't exist in this world at the same time, because definitely they're trying to get evil Cooper back. Evil Cooper Bob back. I really liked when he was looking in the mirror and you could kind of see Bob. Very cool effect. The way they advance that. They used to just make his whole face Bob, but now it's like a blend of both of them. Very, very cool. Giraffe, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I thank you very much for that. But just a heads up for you guys, I will be filming my video with my extended thoughts on this episode tonight. And so that will be up tomorrow. And it was weird because we've been used to having 2 hours of this show at each time. And so I had to make sure, I was like, maybe we have 2 hours, last night, but it was just one hour. So I was like, this is not long enough. Ralph says that Bob was probably trying to contact Jeffries. Okay. But I feel like, we need more, but that's okay. Because at the same time, I don't ever want it to end, and I know a lot of you guys, like, especially think that, who were like original fans who watched it when it was originally on, and now that it's back, it's just so crazy that it came back, and you probably definitely don't want it to ever end. Miss Deanne says that Bob is terrifying. Seeing the face morph of Bob was the scariest thing to me in this series. Yes, I mean, I just think one of the craziest, scariest things about Bob is the laughing, and we saw like a clip from the movie. I think it was from the movie. Maybe it was from the series. In this episode, just, we've seen it a bunch, but it's where Cooper and Bob are just laughing. It's like the bad Cooper doppelganger and Bob, they're just laughing like crazy. I don't know. They show that so much. It's like not even supposed to be funny. It's kind of funny to me, but it's not supposed to be. So Dadson's wondering if they managed to get a scene with Bowie, who was in the movie, who probably everyone knows he passed away. And he says, you'll be ecstatic. And I don't know. With that, or sure. I was wondering if Ray's in some form. I don't know. Possibly. I mean, we're going to meet Diane, which I'm really excited for this season. Which is great because we never met her. We never had a face to put with her voice. What? Did I disappear again? Why? I don't know. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, I think I'm back. I was like, everything froze for me for a second. Okay. Ralph says the statue Coop was fixated on. Look, I wanted to ask about that. So he was like staring at this guy with the gun statue outside his job. And you think it looks like Harry with his hat on. That's interesting, possibly. That's very interesting. Datsun says they did get a scene with Log Lady's actress. Right. And you think she passed away before Bowie, and I think she passed away in 2015. And did he die in 2016? I feel like maybe. So yeah, that would be wonderful. Miss Deanne says you saw Twin Peaks when it aired when you were 10 and you had lots of Bob nightmares. I can only imagine. Bob crawling over the couch, particularly. Him and Pennywise are what nightmares are made of. Well, yes, original It, which they're doing a remake of this year, but original It is terrifying. I always felt like that was terrifying. Terrifying. And I'm wondering if it's like so subtle but terrifying. I don't like the ending of It. The ending of It, I feel like, was a letdown for how terrifying it was. And then the ending, when you find out what like it really is, I was just like, really? Okay. But yeah, I want to see the remake because I really like the first one. Okay, so Stovall, I'm saying your name wrong, I know. Bowie died early 2016. That's what I was thinking. So I don't know. I think it's definitely possible he's in it, and they just don't want to give that away. Like he'll be in this season, but they don't want to give that away. Did anybody else have any theories that you've come up with for the past 5 episodes? Just curious. I really don't have a ton. Well, I've probably talked to you about some in previous chats or videos, and I've kind of forgotten them. But I guess from last night's episode, I didn't have like a bunch of theories. And I'm kind of just trying to enjoy this right now and not really try to figure out how it ends. Because, it's going to be really hard to figure out how it ends anyway. Yeah, but you're saying, but Stovall, how do you say your name? I don't know. I'm so sorry. I know I'm butchering it, saying that he was ill for a long time prior, so you're not sure. Datsun says the Black Lodge scenes have always been creepy. You remember watching the first time the dwarf, the little person, I don't know what the technical term is, what the respectful term, I'm not sure. I don't know. Shows up late at night and the backwards speaking really terrified you. Yeah, the backwards speaking is really creepy. Ralph says things keep reminding Coop of his life and it's slowly jogging his memory. Yeah, so I mean, in a way, I kind of wish you would stay like this because it's so funny, but in another way, of course, more in a bigger way, I want him to be back to himself, like, Cooper, because I'm sure who doesn't love him? We all love him. And I miss him, and it's going to be great to have him back. But he really is funny. And it's not a funny situation, but it's just funny as he's trying to, you know, like he doesn't even know to get out of the car to go to work. Like his wife was so annoyed, you know, and the funniest thing, and I knew it was going to happen, like she had to like basically push him out of the car seat. And I knew right away, I was like thinking he is not going to close that door, because everyone else, that's just like, you know, what do you call it? It's just like something you would do. You would just close the door. And he just left, just like he did with Jade's Jeep. And his wife was so annoyed. That was so funny. Emma says, have you heard the theory that Dougie Coop is in 2003 and not present time? No, and I really haven't looked up any other theory videos or anything on this, but maybe I should look that one up, because that's interesting. I'm wondering what clues are out there to let people know that it's 2003. Datsun says, you're curious to learn more about Richard Horn, creepy cigarette guy. The Giant did mention Richard and Linda, and of course we need to find out how he's connected to the Horns. Yeah, definitely. That guy was, honestly, that guy was scary, right? Didn't you think he was scary? I mean, I didn't know what he was going to do to that girl. That was very confusing to me, but very scary. I just felt like he was like a dangerous person. Yeah. It was funny to me also kind of how they made a point about smoking and how you couldn't smoke. And if you remember in the first 2 seasons, everyone smoked. So now it's like not cool, not allowed anymore. Misty Ann says, who is the drug addict mom? You feel like that is Ronette. Oh, is that Ronette Pulaski? The only thing I would say about that is she looks, I feel like she might be too young. But that would be interesting. They seem to place a lot of, you know, I don't know. Plus she lives in Vegas and she's not from there, but it's not that far. That's interesting though. Datsun says the scene when the kid almost got blown up by the car was crazy. Yes, it was crazy. I feel so bad for that kid, because they live in a terrible place and his mom is just a junkie and it's awful. Oh, Ralph says the BlackBerry is the 2003 clue. Who was on the BlackBerry? Was it someone in his meeting? Why can't I remember? Right. I know I caught that last night and I was like, weird. That's not an I mean, most people have iPhones, so that was weird. Ronette was in the spaceship after the blind woman appeared. Okay. Yeah, I feel like this woman is probably like early 20s, the drug addict mom. Bree says, why didn't her friends run for help? Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know if, okay, well, it could be Ronette if it's 2003. You're right. Wow, it definitely could be, right? You think about that. If there's like a video or something, I'm gonna have to watch that, because that's mind-blowing. Like, I don't even know how someone came up with that. Who had the BlackBerry? Why do I not remember that? Who had the BlackBerry? That's crazy interesting. I know it caught my attention, because I'm like, why are they on that phone? Like, that phone doesn't look right, you know? A phone with buttons, like, no. Yes, I'm going to watch that video. I'm going to try to, if there's a video, I'm going to try to find it. If not, I'll try to find someone who's actually typed up this theory online, since you guys know about it. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that would be a great way to integrate Ronette into the series, you know, the 3rd season, but I don't know. Wow, interesting. Because they do have a lot of emphasis on her, you know. I don't know. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. Wait a minute. Let me read these 2 comments before we go. Datsun says, you feel like the BlackBerry was a burner phone. A lot of places sell old phones for cheap and people use them for illegal, unregistered stuff. You remember that from Breaking Bad, which is a great show, by the way. And Emma says some of the car number plates have 03 on them because of the month, March. Okay. That makes sense. So I'm going to check out that 2003 theory though. But thank you so much for being here. This was a very informative chat. And I saw some new people, and that makes me happy. And I'll be doing this every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So it really makes me happy to be able to chat about the show, because I love it so much. And I love seeing like what you guys thought about it. So if you're new here and you're enjoying Twin Peaks, please subscribe and thumbs up this video if you enjoy these type of chats and if you enjoy my videos on Twin Peaks. And I hope to see all of you, plus more people if you're watching later on and we're not watching when it's live. Hopefully you can also make it to a chat on Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern. But this was so much fun. I hope you guys have a great week. And Ralph is saying BlackBerry is used by the person that put the hit on Dougie. Okay, thank you. And Wursel, who is new to the room, thank you for being here, says green was a big motif in this episode. Dougie's jacket is green. Anthony's face flashed green when he was lying. His coworker had to drink green tea. That's really interesting and stuff that I did not put together and catch up on. Tiffany's going to be here for PLL on Wednesday. Thank you so much. And Dadson doesn't buy the 2003 theory, but I will check it out because he saw modern. Yeah, that's a big clue in that office if you see modern computers, because I think the computers from 2003 are going to look very different from now. I mean, they have to, you know. But thanks again for being here. I hope your week is off to a good start and you have a great rest of your week. And if you just watch my Twin Peaks videos, I will see you tomorrow with a new Twin Peaks video. Bye, guys.